Ted.
Ted. My friends call me Ted. You can call me Theo.
Do you hate people?
No, I'm just trying to wake them up.
What did you come to Los Angeles for?
The melting pot, right? You can find anything you're looking for here. It's the world's biggest candy store. Anything you want.
And what were you looking for?
People, specifically women that looked like Mother, who I saw as the problem.
The problem.
You know what I'm talking about, man. These emotion Nazis. People that make life nothing more than the emotions they can drain and manipulate from other people.
What was the trigger?
You mean what made me snap? Get your head out of your psych manuals, man. It wasn't one thing. It was a process. A realization. I realized that life was a carnival. People were nothing but a bunch of pleasure-seeking freaks. It suddenly made sense to me, and I was trying to find a reason for my disinterest in life instead of understanding that we're all just accidents. A collection of fools wandering around, looking for some excitement before everything starts to fall apart. Some understand this, some don't. You know, it's just that the ones that don't make it stupid for the rest of us. I know this, as sure as I'm sitting here.
When did you have this realization? Did you come to it recently or many years ago?
No, it was relatively recent. I just got to the point in my life where I had everything and it was too easy. I had money, friends, relationships.
What's so funny?
Well, you always hear men and women talk of their relationships these days. It's such a joke. If you're done with one, you can just go and begin another, to the point where it seems interchangeable. These days it's common for people to get married a couple of times, even more, as long as you're fulfilling yourself. What bullshit. It just means out with the old and in with the new. Big deal, you know? My mother taught me the value of relationships. Take 'em and leave 'em while preaching tolerance and respect. Well, those are two things my mother had little of for anyone except her glorified self.
How do you feel about your mother now?
I don't know. I don't think about her much except, when I'm watching TV and I hear some woman bitching, or when I'm acing a chick.
What's acing?
Acing, like applying the death blow. Mother said you can never trust anyone but yourself. So I took her word on it, and I played by my own rules. I'm no different than a lot of people. I just do what they think about. Mother was always so proud of everything I did. She and grandmother would always argue about the other mistreating me, not encouraging me enough. Meanwhile, I would do things that would just blow their mind. One day, I killed the neighbor's cat, and I just went in and told them about it. And they said, don't do it again. But they would write it off because the park was closed next door.
Were you aware of what you were doing? That this was wrong?
Yeah. But to me, it was kind of a game, just to see if it would piss my mother off. If she would really treat it or relate to it like she did the rest of the things in life. When I went to school, it was the same thing. Don't do that again. Let's talk about it. Everything was always talk. When I heard that reaction, I knew they couldn't touch me. It was like life was this big comedy, And all the people were the straight men, the foils, the dupes. I began to believe that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. But I had my own reasons to be happy. I didn't have to play by anybody else's rules anymore. I guess the thing that I could say Mother taught me above anything else was that life is really like a cartoon. Like cartoon characters, they maim each other, they hurt each other, but nothing ever happens. But you want to hear about the real world. You want to hear about the murders. Once I got back to the pad, I made a few calls to contacts I had downtown. One of them was Johnny. Johnny was a real stickler for detail. Johnny Cash, I called him. I knew he was pumping me for every last cent he could get out of the deal. I asked around to others, but I really didn't want to wait to deal with someone else. I knew John well. So I decided this would be our last transaction. He walked away counting every last dollar. Too bad he didn't check the serial numbers, though. He would have found out that they were all counterfeit bills. Poor dumb Johnny.
So where did you find these people?
You ever hear of actors and actresses? What do you think they're all about? Being real? I knew that I could find not just some people like this out there, but I could find them by the bucket loads.
Did you realize what you were doing at some point?
It didn't seem real at first. I was in such shock after it happened the first time. I had such mixed emotions. I knew that I'd killed someone, but I didn't feel like I did. It was just like another experience. Wasn't any kind of intention, but just a simple interaction that triggered the next incident. I had my first caller within a few weeks. Ashley. Unlike how I thought I would feel about my first client, her initial shyness kind of triggered a formal consultation to take place. She had a level of professionalism, but I could tell it wasn't from theater or any acting experience. So it was relatively easy to keep her interest piqued. The night air cooled after the rain. Our evening stroll ended at her place. I had my pitch down well, so I continued explaining her character's motives as I began to contemplate my own.
Did you realize what you were doing at some point?
It didn't seem real at first. I was in such shock after it happened the first time. I had such mixed emotions. I knew that I'd killed someone, but I didn't feel like I did. It was just like another experience. Like the first time when you get in a fight and you actually hit someone. You're just riding this wave of emotion and you just flow with it. I was horrified that I found out that I killed someone the next day when I woke up. I realized that it wasn't just a fantasy or a dream this time. It was my reality. The first thing I remember after the fear of getting caught was the sheer exhilaration of knowing that I was finally above the power of the world. My mother's emotional suffocation, anything that held me back from being totally free.
Your mother is dead.
Yes. She drank herself to death. She always talked about not needing anybody, but after grandmother died, she really began to hit her stride with the bottle, despite how much she loved me. She always talked about family, but she spent most of her life destroying every relationship she had with her family.
For what reasons?
She said that they were boring, middle class, blah, 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 blah. As far as I could see, she was going to change the world, but she just made it more meaningless than it was before.
If you felt so free, why did you kill again?
I didn't think I would. I felt that it was a possibility, but a remote one. I felt satisfied for the time being, complete.
Go on.
I continued my scam as an acting coach. I thought that I really could do that job well. Now that I had my new experience, it had raised my consciousness. I knew more about life. I knew more about what kind of life was worth living and what kind was worth getting rid of. I originally hit it off with my second assignment. Not for long. Evening fell fast that day. I found myself back at the apartment, and I was basically just hanging out for the night. I didn't expect the call, nor what the event that was going to transpire. I guess when things happen, they happen fast. The caller was someone who found a flyer. Susan from Iowa. I was pretty surprised that I actually got a response that quickly. Nonetheless, I played it real cool and tried to get some information to her.
What'd you have against this girl?
Get this straight. I have nothing against any of my victims. What I was getting rid of was something that was rotten within inside them. And if they had this defect bad enough, you could see how it eats into their whole personality until there's nothing else left of them but the defect. The whole body, the clothes, was nothing more than props for this defect, for this disease. Do you know what a disease is? It's something that puts you at dis-ease. You understand? Something that puts you off. I just feel this sense of duty to rid the world of this, to be the executioner. She was beautiful, physically. I fell for her and she knew it. But I thought she cared for me. She seemed a lot more interested than she should have been. I was just talking about the importance of the craft and all the regular bullshit you tell actors to make them feel important. But it was almost as if she wasn't listening to this. She had this beautiful smile, not this phony, let me butter you up kind of smile that my mother would give me when things were crummy. She seemed more interested in me than anything I might have said. And then, because I was getting interested myself, I dropped some cash from my pocket, and I saw her attention shift in a flash from me to what it was all about. I could see her as concentrated on the cash in that split second as she had been with me since we walked through my door. And that was it.
And what was it?
That she could take her love, that thing that was the deepest part of her love for me, and shift it into an interest in a couple of filthy old bills.
Because of her greed.
I could have killed her on the spot, but I didn't.
Why not?
Well, there's a part of me that didn't want to believe that she wasn't totally spoiled, that the disease hadn't consumed her completely. Anyway, I wasn't beyond enjoying a bit of romance. But then I woke up. There she was, sucking me dry. She had only seen me as a traveler's check. So I decided to show her what it's like to be treated like a scrap of paper. I think she got the message at one point while she was gasping for breath. I didn't ask her. The feeling I had when I could feel the life in her slipping away were moments of absolute personal freedom. I felt the king of everything. It was then I realized that my new passion was now my only passion. I knew as long as I lived, I couldn't let the freedom of that feeling go.
Our records show that your next victim...
Victims? What? These lives were illnesses, seeking a cure. I was just solving the problem for them. I had to take a break, though, you know. I was starting to wear down a bit.
Give me a break.
No. You be a good little police officer and write this down. This might even make you some money. I can hear the 10 o'clock news calling.
Speaking of knocking, why don't you tell us about Irma?
After I rid the world of that money-grabbing Black Widow, I didn't think things could get any worse. The release I got this time was a little less after it was over.
You experienced depression. Was this normal?
Yeah, I got the blues. I usually had them before my feelings would come on, though. It was more of a time in between that affected me, not when I was getting rid of someone. When I'm down, I don't think things can get any worse, but they do. It's a bottomless pit, and you go down alone. I used to have a name for it. I'd say to myself, "You're being visited." Like a conversation where someone unintentionally is saying something that's depressing to you and then just keeps talking about it until you're in a total funk, and then they leave you hanging there. Irma.
You had problems with Irma.
Yeah,
Like what?
like Irma.
What do you mean?
You ever spent a day staring at the rain? You know, wondering whether or not it'd be a good idea to blow your brains out? And just when you put the round in the chamber, have the trigger cocked, the gun pointing at your head, you'd hear a knock on the door. That would be Irma Jenkins.
What was the occasion for her visit?
Take your pick. My car was parked on her garden hose. My TV's too loud. I scared her cat, who's dumping beer cans in the bushes. That lady hated everything about me. If my stereo was too loud, that old mutt would beat a path to my doorway. I could usually tune out her noise, but on this particular day, I could feel my sanity getting a bit crumbly around the edges.
And what if someone maimed or killed you?
Well, I guess they beat me to the punchline then. My mom used to always get upset when anyone would let her down. And I figured, why get upset? Just get even. I'm against pain and suffering. I think it's the most meaningless thing in the world. Why bother caring when you can just get rid of your feelings? I don't feel pain. I just get excited when I know I'm going to get rid of them.
You're a young man, though.
Yeah, so what? I know it now instead of 50 years from now. What's the difference? The difference is, officer, that I live my life the way I want to before I get old.
Hey, you say live. Do you think you're getting out of here?
I could still get out of here. They're releasing people like me all the time. There's plenty of bleeding hearts out there that would love to set me free to suit their own vanity. To show how much they care. I'm sure I could find some stupid organization out there that would petition for my release. To show that they care, of course. I know how to cry on cue if I need to.
What are you getting rid of?
The feelings that tell me that I'm my mother's son. The feelings that tell me I'm a good little boy to validate my mother's crummy existence. The feelings that tell me that my mother loved me. The feelings that tell me when I meet a woman that I'm all right, that I have something to give them, like I'm supposed to give them love, like I'm some kind of stinking gift-giving vending machine. Well, guess what? I don't have any. It's like I'm supposed to give them something to prove by living. I could never prove anything to my mother because she always accepted everything I did as being all right. Everything was great. I like to think that she gave me the things I've done to say, yes, I'm your creation. just like all those rotten things you see people do in life that you hate. Look at what I am. Smell it. Stick your face into it. This is what you gave me. You want me to draw you a picture? Well, here it is. This is what you are. This is what you really are to me.
What's your background?
The whole truth? I don't know. Dear old Dad was missing from the picture. Mom didn't have much to say about him. Just that he skipped out like all the rest. You know, all that regular crap you hear today from women who can't hold on to their men.
How did you feel about this?
I didn't really understand. I didn't know what all men were like. But I guess she did. I couldn't get too upset. I never knew him.
Did your mother ever remarry?
No. She was a good little feminist. Made a sacrament out of screwing around. Doing her own thing, as she'd say. All the time. She'd just live with these guys that she could berate. Real losers. And she knew it. It made her feel better about herself, I think. Their only brave acts were telling my mom to piss off as they were leaving. I would kind of sympathize with them. And then they were gone.
Did your mother's boyfriends disrupt your life much?
No. I expected they would just come and go. They were more like boarders who would just bang my mother.
Were they violent?
No. It's my mother that would usually do the swinging after she tied one on. And they'd tried to ignore her, all the bitching and moaning. All she ever talked about was being mistreated, while they would sit there for hours listening to that crap.
About what?
Anything. She was really into playing the victim. Everything was always someone else's fault.
Did you suffer from a lot of criticism? Were you verbally abused?
What, you kidding? It was me, my mother, and my grandmother. But it was me who really ruled. She would never raise a hand to me. Never critical. I could do no wrong.
Why did you think she was like that?
I was her creation, you see. It was a love triangle, an unholy trinity. I was God, grandmother was the Holy Spirit, and Mom was the Savior, of course. Mother hated God. God got into Mom's way. She'd run around into walls all the time and say that God created suffering and then hate Him for it. She loved angels, though. She thought that they were all female. Free agents who didn't have to answer to no one. After it was over, I just wandered around in a haze, feeling the sun burning on my skin. I felt at home in the desert, you know? It was kind of like my world, dry and tired, just waiting for the sun to go down and enter into night. actually was walking down the road, and I saw this girl fiddling with her car. I didn't want her to see me, but then again, you never know who you're going to meet in the desert. I didn't feel any hesitation, just a natural force that was pulling me in her direction. And as I got closer, I could see her straight blonde hair being tossed in the wind. And I wanted to just walk up without saying anything and run my fingers through it. Getting close to her and not saying a word. I startled her, needless to say. And then she starts going into this rap about how she's helping a friend. I mean, I listened, but I couldn't believe this. A wrapped corpse in her trunk. She was trying to dump a body. It's a small world after all. So, I felt obligated, since I did scare the shit out of her, to do something. So I just took charge of the situation. I told her basically I had some experience with this thing. She didn't know how to take that comment. I thought, am I the only one who does this here? And I actually became a bit jealous. And I did something I haven't caught myself doing in a while. I was laughing. Within myself, I felt this release, you know? You know when you're walking around the desert and you see this and you think, am I supposed to be seeing this?
You felt some sense of destiny.
Ken the metaphysics. I just felt drawn to her. I don't know why. Like a person, a human being. She had this sense about her. She knew the game was up, and she gave the ghost up rather quickly. And it was so easy for her, like losing her keys or something like that.
But she was standing over a dead body.
I know. Isn't it cool? Beautiful, like I said.
So once you felt this connection,
Like I said, no games. We disposed of that body, and then we just drove off into the sunset. As we drove down the highway back to town that day, I got her name. Carol. She wouldn't tell me much more than that. As we got close to town, I had Carol drop me off about 3 miles from where I lived. I walked the rest of the way back to my apartment. I was exhausted. And to top that off, the neighbor, the one who knows everything about everyone, Fidel, he starts asking me if I seen the landlady. I didn't know what to say to that. I felt that a fast plan would work if I had Carol on my side. just some kind of backup or an alibi. I had little time to meet my objective. Night was falling on the city once again, and I had to find a way to destroy all evidence of my existence there. I had little time to meet my objective, destroy all evidence of my existence, and I was taking the little resources Johnny provided me from his construction sites. Simtex bomb with gas. Assembly was no less a tedious undertaking. Just a slight bump of that table would have been my finale as well.
After all said and done, you got away with murder. You went home to live with a new girlfriend.
I woke up feeling like I had cheated death. Here I was, this fugitive, with scores of murders to my name, in a comfortable bed, getting laid royally. No demands were being placed upon me, either morally or financially. I had dropped out of society, and I was living like a king. I made it. All the other Slavs going to work each day, coming home to bitching and moaning. I escaped that world. I had nirvana, dharma, enlightenment, philosophical certainty. Call it whatever you like. My only responsibility was to myself. Freedom wasn't just another word for nothing left to lose. It was perfection, and I was God. I was above it all and loving it. Let's just say it had a hole in it. And wherever that hole was, I fell through it and saw the trace of it lying straight through her heart with smoke coming out of it.
What did you do when you knew she was dead?
It was a joke, you know, like I thought I was dreaming, and then reality came back like a bad smell. I was back in another sickening joke called life, and I didn't know who this guy was, but I knew that I had to make him suffer immediately, like I was. So I ran, and I ran, and I ran until I couldn't even breathe anymore.
We're almost through.
No, take your time. I'm sure it's filling a big hole in your life anyway.
didn't run fast enough.
No. I couldn't. Just like you couldn't catch me. I just assumed everything I saw was mine for the taking. I needed a set of wheels. I found something that looked good, and I went in to take it.
First mistake.
How was I to know that I'd be trying to take a car from some caffeine-addicted narc who was probably watching a Three Stooges marathon? I don't know what overpowered me first, his B.O. or the hangover-colored Hawaiian shirt he was wearing. I was going to tell him to fuck off, but he wasn't in the mood for talking. He hit me so hard, so quickly, I couldn't react. It was like he was saving it up for a week from not kicking his dog or beating his wife. I thought he'd punched a hole in my face, and I only hoped that I would have bled to death somehow before we got to the police station. Because going a few rounds with him would be much better than trying to stay awake during this psychological rectal exam that you're putting me through.
What's this? Thank you. Damn it. Damn it.
Seems your fan club has gotten a stay of execution. The hearing will be postponed for a while until the state gathers more evidence.
Postponed? For how long? A day? A week? A year? I love this country.
We will continue the interviews tomorrow, you rat bastard. You're not going anywhere.
We're just about done for today anyway. Do you have anything further to say?
Yes. I just disavow everything I said today. I've been distraught since my capture, and I feel that you've intimidated me.
That won't wash.
Hey, I'm clean. I didn't mention where any bodies were, or how many, or when I did this. You just been listening to me tell a story, man, to entertain myself. I have to do that to shield myself from the pain of my inner childhood. In fact, I'm so distraught that I think I could use some more medication to calm down. I think I need to take my nap now. So if you'll excuse me, you overrated proctologist. I need to relieve myself of today's events, if you don't mind.
Take him away.
Guard, take him away.
Let's go, scumbag. Come on, move it. Move it.
Officer, I prefer, if you don't mind, if I use a facility in a clean, well-lighted place.
All right. Anyone in here? It's clear. Go ahead, make it fast.
Thank you.